We are back to In and Out of Character, episode 23. Hooray, hooray. Good news, I want to let you guys know, I already have everything up to episode 30 recorded and edited and ready to go. So up until next year, we are going to have an episode out every Thursday, which is a big deal. And the reason why this is a big deal is because I want to work on other projects, not only for this audio podcast channel, but also for the YouTube channel, which this podcast also comes out on, called the Core Role Players Guild, where I'm going to do stuff for MMO role players, and I want to start working on a few other different things, but I can only do one project at a time, and the plan is to have a stockpile of content ready to go and ready to release. That way I can go work on more content on the side. And as always, I am so happy to have you and everyone else on this journey with me as we go through and we reach out to more of the community and help the community. All right, but I've talked enough about me. So today I am talking to someone named Wesley, and oh boy, did we have so much fun chatting. Oh man, you guys are going to hear it. I get a little carried away sometimes, and I apologize for that. Warning you now. But Wesley is a part of the Roleplay Rejects, and he was so much fun to get to talk to him. I think that personally he is a very, very funny, entertaining man, and I hope you think so as well. And please, go check out their podcast. They are wonderful. And also, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm so sorry it took me so long to reach out to you.
No, it's totally fine. That's mostly a meme when I go like, oh, he hates me, you know what I'm saying? I hope you didn't feel pressured to interview.
No. I had every intention of asking you to come on. I just with life and everything, I just got busy and everything just sort of fell through for a while there.
Yeah, man, no worries. I hope things are a little less hectic now.
Oh God, yes, much better.
Sick.
So though I used to do this thing where I would introduce the guest of the podcast live in front of them. Like I used to be like, "Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to In and Out," with the other person there. It feels too weird. So I started to do that in post.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because people would talk to me and they're like, "Wow, that interview was very the interview felt very rigid," and I was like, "Oh, it's not supposed to be an interview. It's just supposed to be a conversation between two people in a hobby." Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I'm not going to do any of that. Hi, Wesley.
Hey, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm so good. Like I said, I'm so glad I could finally have you on here to talk about this.
This is fun.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have you on for, God, since I first decided to ask Damien about coming on the podcast. Like, I wanted to have everybody on. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to ask people at first.
Honestly, that makes sense. I feel like, I don't know if that's a common issue you have, but I feel like that's an issue I would have is like, hey, you want to talk to me about role playing? Or,
It's so weird because it's like, okay, so role playing is normally something done like it's, at least in the MMO world, it's something that's done and you really don't have to kind of communicate out of character with other players that much, as long as you're being respectful and, just trying to bring a nice story to the table. And then tabletops, of course, you have to be there face to face with the other people unless you're online. But you're still kind of like communicating out of character to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and hey, let's do that. So I still haven't broken out of, since MMO role playing is like my primary source of role playing. I still haven't broken out of that weird, I got to fucking actually ask people to join me. And they have no idea who I am. I'm just some random stranger online who's just like, hey, I see you role playing over there. You want to come onto my podcast?
Have you ever played critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV?
I have played.
You can have the RP tag.
Yes, I have.
You don't have that in real life, right?
I know.
Even if you it's like that when someone sends you a tell just because they see you have the RP tag and they're like, "Hey, couldn't help but notice."
Yeah. You're like, yeah. And a lot of I think Yeah, so a lot of the other MMOs, actually, I'm going to say almost every other MMO besides for the critically acclaimed MMO, Final Fantasy XIV, it doesn't have that roleplay tag. That's like the only one that I've played in that has that ability to say, hey, I'm in character. That's base game. Like with World of Warcraft, you have to get mods and or like add-ons. And ESO, I don't even know if there's an add-on to let you do that. You just kind of have to figure out if someone's role playing or not.
Yeah, you just cross your fingers.
Yeah, you just go to the hub and you hope this person is in character, or else you're gonna look like a real jackass.
Yeah.
Oh man! Speaking of the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV, have you heard about? I'm pretty sure you have. I think I saw you talk about it, but you've noticed that there is another tabletop for the game itself.
I did. Yeah, someone posted it in our Discord. Actually, it was on my radar a little bit prior to that as well. But because I'm such a fanatic about Final Fantasy XIV, I didn't want to bring it up with the Roleplay Rejects, so I didn't want to be like, let me force my hobby upon you. Like, you know. So.
I get it. I know. I really get it, because I'm the same way. Like I love Warframe to death. I bug my friends about this one game so fucking much, and I desperately want to play like a Warframe tabletop. And I know for a fact, if a Warframe tabletop were to actually come out, I would really be genuinely interested in playing it, because I want to see the mechanics and stuff, and I don't want to bring it to my friends because they know that I'm just obsessed with this game, and I don't want to bug them about it.
Yeah, and it's like they wouldn't mind, right? Like I'm sure they wouldn't, but I just didn't want it to be the first thing I look into, and so I'm just waiting. I was just waiting to bring it up, but I mean, like it got mentioned in the Discord, so like they know about it now, and Damien's like, "Oh, I got dibs," but obviously he doesn't. But
obviously you got it, because from looking back over at your Discord channel, you raid in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm a Savage Curator, it's like asterisk, because static always fall apart, right? but I do enjoy the Savage Curator. I enjoy raiding.
If you ever want me to, because I know Damien. You know, through the Discord and stuff like that. If you ever want me to bring something up Final Fantasy wise, I will do it.
I appreciate that.
And you can bounce off of that. I'll be like, hey guys, look at this thing here, and then you can just take it from my hands and just run off with it.
Yeah. I'll be like, wow, what a totally unprompted conversation.
I'll be more than happy to. Have you ever, out of curiosity, have you ever even tried to roleplay in the game?
Well, so that's actually it's funny now, because I'm like, I'm a Savage Raider, but I got into the game exclusively to roleplay.
Did you?
Yeah, I had this friend he was like, he's my buddy who got me into the game. Zach, I know you're not listening, but if you are, you're a cool guy. He was into Final Fantasy 14 for like quite some time. I think he played it since like launch. And we would talk about role playing sometimes, because we were both into D&D and like other TTRPGs. We never really he had experience role playing in MMOs. I really hadn't. I role played a little bit on like some MMOs like back in the day, like Ragnarok Online. And, God,
I haven't heard that name, and that wasn't even in my mind. I completely forgot that existed.
I used to look for the next MMO so desperately. I played that. I played Trickster, if you've heard of that. I played Maple Story, Fly for Fun.
Maple Story, yeah, I played that.
I used to play a lot of MMOs, but I roleplayed it only a little bit in a few of them, just because it was pretty new to me at the time, and like I didn't really know what to do. And like when you're like relatively young, like you're not that great of a writer. Your friends aren't that great of writers, right? And so I just kept falling out of it. But then he brought up Final Fantasy 14, and he was like, "Hey, look, dude, because he was part of a role-playing free company before, so he was like, look, I've always wanted to make my own. I think it'd be cool if you were there. We can have like this group or whatever, and like do whatever, right? So my character, to this day, Kotada Borlak, my Warrior of Light, is still like the character I made to be siblings with him. Yeah, it was really fun. I had a really great time. If Final Fantasy, I feel like has because the party finder is just full of people trying to roleplay, right? So really easy to just be like, well, let's pick one of these places and just hang out. So
yeah.
role playing in Final Fantasy.
In Final Fantasy XIV is one of my favorite places to roleplay, and I'm so mad at myself. Like, I'm a part of a role-playing free company on Mattias and stuff like that. Like, I am not short for roleplay on the game itself. I just don't have enough time to get on there and roleplay anymore, and that sucks because I think that Final Fantasy XIV has one of the best places, like overall the whole ass game to roleplay with. And I know that's saying something, like compared to Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft. I just feel like Final Fantasy XIV, I'm sorry, the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV is our FFXIV for those who are not scrubs. Just has such a delightful atmosphere about it. You know what I mean?
No, I agree completely. It just feels so easy to like RP in that game. Like you have like
yes,
it's effortless. Like you have all these venues that you can go to that you can easily find. Everyone's walking around with the RP tags up. Like everyone's
everyone's advertising all the time.
Yes, dude. Like it's just especially if you're on Crystal, right? Like it's almost hard not to roleplay if you're on Crystal.
Yes, yeah. And now with the addition of them being able to like jump from servers to servers, it's just so much easier now to go role playing. You do not even have to be on the roleplay server like you used to be able to. Now you can just
go visit.
Yeah, you can just go visit and role play. And then if you want to keep like in contact with the people you role play, just ask them for their Discord if they're comfortable with that, or ask them for their friends request. You know.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so sick.
It's so
it's hard not to think about role playing in any other MMO now, because it's like at most, kind of like you were saying, they don't have like it doesn't seem like such a focus like it is in Final Fantasy XIV critically acclaimed. So it's like at most you'll have like worlds or servers that are like RP worlds or RP servers, but you still don't know who in there, because some people just join the first world they see on the server list, right? So you don't know who's actually RPing. But in Final Fantasy, it's like I feel like so much of the community RPs that you're just not hard pressed to find people.
Right. And in World of Warcraft now it seems like, okay, so it used to be like what was the name of the server? Fuck. I was a part of it. Wormrest Accord? Wormrest Accord, is that what it was called?
I couldn't tell you. I've never played WoW.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't play with WoW much either. And the reason being is stupid, but I'll get into that in a second. But with like World of Warcraft, you used to have just the two big role play servers, which was Moonguard and Wormrest Accord. I believe Wormrest Accord. And I dropped out of it some time ago. Like I dropped out of it, I think like 3-4 years ago. And I kind of came back to kind of like catch up on the scene. And no matter which server you were on, you always had roleplay for both sides. You just, you went to the general hubs and there would people be there. And now I went back and Moonguard seems to be nothing but Alliance now. And very little Horde. And vice versa. Wormrest has like no Alliance roleplay presence at all anymore. It might have changed in like the last couple of months, because it has been a few months since I logged back in to kind of check things out. But right now, it's so difficult to find the roleplay unless you're just a part of the community already and sort of know where to go and find it. And same with Elder Scrolls Online. And don't get me started on Star Wars. I have no idea where to go in Star Wars for roleplay anymore.
Yeah, I wish I played Star Wars, because it seems like such a fun game, and I'm sure like the RP community that is there is super fun. But I've never played it before for literally no reason. Like it sounds like a good time. I've heard the game's really good. I've just
there's updates coming out for it. Like they updated the graphics not too long ago.
Yeah.
Like it would be right up my alley, and I still have an account. I haven't. I haven't. That's all there is to it. And Guild Wars 2 roleplay scene is kind of the same way in terms of difficulty, but it goes even fucking further. Excuse my language, because there is a section in Guild Wars 2. I'm letting you in on a deep secret, deep lore here. So there's this area in one of like the biggest cities of Guild Wars 2 that you have to enter through like a zoning door, right? And that's sort of like a personal part of the town that your character gets in the story, I believe. And you can make decisions for that part of the town, yada yada. But if you go up to this bridge, you jump over the railing onto a roof. You can glide into this area, and inside this area, since it's unzoned, there are all these fucking role players just stuck in there. But you have to literally glitch the game in order to role play in Guild Wars 2.
That's crazy. Well, thanks for the tip. Now I know where to go.
Yeah, if you ever want to know, I'll show you exactly how to do it. It is quite entertaining on how like the differences in like environment and atmosphere that you can find between each and every single game, which leads me all back to say, yes, I agree. The critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV is probably the easiest to get roleplay in.
Absolutely. It's interesting too because I feel like looking at Final Fantasy XIV, I understand why the RP community is so big, right? Because of how it's structured. But I always wonder about other MMORPGs because it's like if you've never roleplayed before, right, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to get into it, but I don't know how. I feel like that's so hard in every other game. Like how do I who do I just I guess I would look at forums and stuff, but like it just seems so.
Yeah, you just have to either stumble into it. You just have to, for the most part, in mostly every other game. And sorry, listeners, I know we're gushing a lot about Final Fantasy XIV here, but in every other MMO, you just sort of have to stumble into it. Whereas
you have to know a guy, right?
Yeah, you have to like know a friend and hope to God that friend knows other friends. Oh God, I have so many horror stories about that too. How'd you get into role playing in general? Like what was your origin story for role playing? I can guess if you want me to, but it's gonna be a copy pasta of Batman.
A copy pasta of Batman.
Yeah, Batman. Let's you can't you got off of you left the theater with your family one night and you walked down an alley with them and a guy came around the corner with a bunch of with a book and a GM screen and he goes roll for initiative and ever since that day, since your parents failed, not only did they fail their checks, but unfortunately died when they also slipped and fell on the dice themselves.
No, not the dice, bro.
you studied. You spent the rest of your life honing your skills and studying tabletops to avenge them, and that's what I'm going to go with your origin story, unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay, I am going to tell you otherwise, but I do like that. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. I think I had a pretty classic start to role playing in general. It was like the classic middle school, early high school on Facebook, right? With these dumb little fantasy characters that are like not power balanced at all. But I remember my first ever roleplay character, his name was Legacy, and he was one of 3 siblings that could like manipulate their blood in certain ways. And it was, I barely remember it now because it was forever ago, but it was really fun. I remember thinking at the time because they all had blood magic. So in theory, they could all do the same things.
What system was this for? Out of curiosity.
Our brains. Like we were literally
you're just pretending.
Yeah, typing away. But we all had blood magic. We all manipulate our blood, but we all did it in different ways, even though we could potentially all do it the same way. I just thought that was really cool. And Legacy, they all like one Legacy had fire in his blood. Couldn't tell you why, right? But I thought it was super, super cool. So that was my first instance ever role playing ever, at least for like a prolonged amount of time. I had like a roleplay Facebook account for a while, but I didn't do much with it because like I just couldn't find like a good group because it was always like it ranged from like because I'm a fan of fantasy, right? It always ranged from like people living their power fantasies and like destroying galaxies with like a flick of the wrist, right? To no fantasy at all, and I just couldn't find a group that I really messed with. But that was my first ever RP, was playing Legacy and his trio of brothers. And then my first time playing D&D was actually horrible. Not fun at all. 0 out of 10 wouldn't recommend. I just didn't mess with the group.
Oh, that's fair.
And it sucks because they were like good friends of mine at the time. And, they didn't mean anything by it. But I was like, I think I was like in early high school. And they were like, hey, you should play D&D. You seem like you would really like it. You're a theater kid. And I was like, I am a theater kid. So we went to play. But they just had like this idea of like essentially like since your character isn't you in real life and there's no real life consequences, you should just do all the dumb things, right? Because it's funnier that way.
Yeah,
And
no,
me,
so I thought the same when I started to LARP, but it turns out if you actually hit people randomly with foam swords or sticks or whatever, they get mad at you.
Yeah, man, I've always wanted to LARP, but I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, my first ever D&D experience, I like tried to play like a really smart character, like very meticulous, like and I just got clowned for it. Essentially, they were like, "Your character is dumb and boring, and you shouldn't do that."
Damn, damn.
Like, hey, it's been fun. I don't think D&D's for me.
Oh no!
Like a year and a half, 2 years after that.
Oh man, your character's dumb and boring. Wow.
Yeah, I know, dude. 'Cause I remember one scene in particular. This is when they decided that my character was boring. We were in some like, I don't know, like it was a dungeon with doors essentially, and I was peeking through the keyhole of a door because you do that in all the spy movies, right? And then as I did that, one of the other players was like, "Why are you doing that? Like, it's not you. You can just kick the door in." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to kick the door in." And then he shoves my character aside in game and he kicks the door in. And I was like, why am I even here, bro? If I'm just going to get clowned on in game and in real life. Like,
that's unfortunate. I'm real sorry about that.
It's okay. Of course not in all TTRPGs, but
yeah, I'm about to say hopefully the experience has gotten much better, especially now that you're a part of a crew who does this on what I'm assuming is like a weekly basis.
Yeah, we meet them every week. Yeah, it's and now I'm spoiled, right? Because I feel like I have such a great crew to play with all the time.
No, yeah, I'm not jealous. Don't worry about it.
Dude, I think. Not to flex my crew, but I think everyone should be a little jealous. Like,
yeah, no, I get you. No, this is a pretty great group.
Really fun to play with. Like,
as you know, I saved you the best for last. Yes, I will. You can take that clip and share it with everybody if you want to.
I'm gonna save this clip, send it to the boys.
The boys. Oh God, you are very entertaining to listen to. I want you to know.
I'm so glad you say that because sometimes I worry that I'm just annoying. And I'm sure there's people who find me that way, right? Because that's always how it goes. Because I talk a lot, right? Like my friend likes to say I have the gift of gab, right? Usually people find it pretty endearing, but sometimes people find it kind of annoying.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
Right? Like I'm not gonna stop. So.
Yeah, sometimes I'll start talking and like I'll say something and I just kind of like go into my normal routine and then I stop and then I go, am I being fucking dumb right now? Am I being too loud? Am I being an asshole right now? And I'm just like, oh God, no. But no, you are very entertaining to listen to. You are very funny to listen to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, if when you finally get around, here's an idea for you. When you finally getting around to running the next critically acclaimed tabletop role playing game, Final Fantasy XIV. How long are we gonna go with that bit?
I don't know, man. It's been going on for years. It's almost like it's scripted for me, right? Like if I'm about to bring the game up, I almost have to say it that way.
I'm getting to the point where I have to as well. But when you run that game, if you guys run that game, and I hope you do, what you could do is you could go into the game itself on any of the servers and just find some people that you like roleplay wise and be like, hey, I would like to use your character as an NPC. And that would probably make their day. Probably make their year.
Yeah, I'm really glad you just said that because I wouldn't have thought of it because I'm dumb, right? But I think I will do that. That's super cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, I know. There's quite a few. Oh God, I really need to get back into that game. But you could just walk into what was it called? The quicksand.
The quicksands. Yeah.
You could just walk into the quicksands and just like that one there.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't help but notice your RP tag.
Not gonna. Hey, so you got that RP tag up, bro? I wanna use your character, please. Oh man, it is so weird messaging people out of character randomly because I do a show on the side, which I'm gonna start doing again, where I go around to these locations in game and I present them as stages for role playing. And I always like to fill them up with actors, and I don't want to just I don't want to like I don't want to just give you a scene where nobody is in it and it's like empty and kind of boringish. So I go up to people and I ask them, "Hey, you want to do me a favor?" And I don't know how else to ask. I don't want to be like, "Hey kid, do you want to be in a video?"
True.
And there's no good way of doing this. Like I've had to reach out to dozens and dozens of people, and most of them are still in my Discord. And I still to this day never know how to approach someone and be like, "Hey, you want to be a part of a video? I could sure use your character. All you have to do is just stand there."
I just need you to be alive in this general location.
And it's so weird. I look forward to the day when I don't have to do that no more.
I'm sure you get like most of the responses have to be pretty positive though, right? Like I'm sure.
So best slash worst case scenario, they don't respond at all. They're like no one responds. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, so I go on to the next one. Worst case scenario, they just block me without me knowing, like without me being able to explain anything. And the best case scenario is they're just like, what do you want now? And I can finally talk to them about it. I'm like, oh, thank God, I can go further in depth with this.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy that you get blocked. I guess I don't know, man. Some people block people so fast, it feels like.
Oh, God, yeah.
Maybe they make you a scammer. I don't know, man. I can't imagine blocking someone for that.
Well, the world can be a scary place, and some people go into these things to rest and relax. And I know that just speaking in the general vicinity of other people is enough to cause some people's anxiety to go through the roof. Mm-hmm. So the emergency block button is always there to keep you safe, I suppose.
Yeah, true.
What systems besides because we've been just gushing on Final Fantasy so much, although. Hold on, we're gonna have to keep doing it because I do want to ask you this question. Do you think that they're going to keep the job system from Final Fantasy and like sort of import that over to the tabletop?
You mean like being able to switch in a moment's notice, or just jobs in general?
Let's say both, because that would be actually interesting. I didn't think about people being able to like switch at like a moment's notice, which is something you can do in the game as long as you're not in battle, or like in the middle of doing something. I should update the game, but like definitely the job system itself, like just being able to pick from different jobs.
I think definitely probably the job system. Mm-hmm. I wonder if. My in before this is my guess, right? Mm-hmm. I think they're gonna do the classic, like you have your starting jobs that you can pick from, right, for like a level 1 Warrior of Light or whatever they call it in the TTRPG, right? Mm-hmm. And then you as like the DM could then supplement NPCs later on who can be like, oh, you want to be a blue mage, and then give them that job later on. Mm-hmm. I do think it's hard to translate switching the jobs in a TTRPG fashion, because then it almost becomes like multi-classing, right?
Right.
But in the critically acclaimed MMORPG, you can't. It's not like you like in D&D, for example. When you multi-class, you have access to both those skills at the same time, right?
Right.
You basically become like the amalgamation of those two classes. But in Final Fantasy, that's not typically the case, right? Unless you're an Onion Knight. But you just have one job at a time. So I wonder how that would work. I wonder if you just like. I wonder if your level will just carry over throughout all classes you have unlocked somehow.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting, because I'm just curious on how they're going to do this. They're going to just bring it in like because they are saying they are specifically building it off of Final Fantasy XIV. So it's so weird to translate that into a tabletop, because in the game itself you can switch by just changing your weapons. Mm-hmm. But when you're role playing, it doesn't matter if I have a gun or a knife. I'm still just a person, and I will stab and or / shoot you depending on like it doesn't matter what my technical class is or whatever it is. Like that's how in World of Warcraft it happens. Like it doesn't matter what your class is. It doesn't matter what weapons it says you're proficient with in game. you can still pick up and do whatever you want roleplay wise, because that's what characters can do.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, because how you get like the stones, the job stones, when you reach like a certain level. I wonder if they're gonna do that, and like I wonder if your job is gonna be like physical like that.
Oh, that'll be weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because then I could see then you could argue like, do whatever, like change your proficiencies around depending on which soulstone you have equipped.
Mm-hmm.
But you only get experience for the job in which you have the job stone equipped. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I would try something, and it is really interesting. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do it, because I think it's hard, right? I think it's hard with like almost any MMO.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also biased, right? Because I've just seen the MMO first, and my brain is really smooth, right? So I can't imagine like trying to take all of Final Fantasy XIV, the critically acclaimed MMORPG, and translating that into like a smooth and seamless TTRPG, right?
Right. Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they won't do it at all, and it'll be like you just pick a job at the start, and then you pick Astrologian because that's the best job in the game. And then,
all will be forgiven if they include a Blitzball class. I don't care what they do. If they're like, oh, also you can play Blitzballer, I'll be like, all right, I'm in 100%. I don't give a fuck anymore.
True. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure they'll do great because they do great with everything they do, at least recently.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really looking forward to it.
Speaking of, you know what Blitzball is, right?
No, I have no idea. I just didn't want to be so I didn't say
shit. So Blitzball is from Final Fantasy X, right?
Okay.
It's the one that you have to like swim in like this big sphere and everything like that. It's at the beginning of Final Fantasy X where Ramstein is playing Du Hast, or no, not Du Hast, whatever it is, and characters are playing with a ball in the middle of this watery sphere. But I always make the joke that I will 100% only play Final Fantasy XIV if they introduce a Blitzball. But there are people, and this is interesting because I think you'll like this. There is a Blitzball league for role players in Final Fantasy XIV, and it gets just as violent as actual soccer games gets. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy. That's cool though.
Like at one point, like, so people will like watch, I don't know how exactly they do this, but they're like all these mechanics and there are like actual players on these teams. And when one of the at the end of one of the matches, people were so mad that they literally killed one of the teams. just so everyone knows what this is like in Final Fantasy XIV, the critically acclaimed MMO.
Scare them away.
Hello. We are Roleplay Rejects, an actual play podcast that is all about new and unusual tabletop role-playing games. Our show explores various role-playing systems and their associated worlds while being guided by one of the rejects as Game Master. Each story is entirely separate and designed to be listened to in any order, and comes complete with laughter,
bippity-boppity, I'm gonna take your lunch money.
and sadness.
I've never killed anything before.
Puns.
We struck Yukon Gold.
And whatever the hell this is. So what are you waiting for? Listen to Roleplay Rejects wherever you get podcasts.
Besides for Final Fantasy XIV, like, do you have any settings that you really like? You just really love to play in?
You mean like settings like an MMO, or settings just like world, like kind of worlds that I play in?
Maybe I shouldn't have said settings. Maybe I should have said systems. Are there systems that you like much, like you prefer much more than others?
The Roleplay Rejects and I really like. I say that like I'm not part of the group. We're really big on Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wasn't big on Pathfinder until I met them because like I played 5e like everyone else. I hesitate to say this because I don't think I did it justice personally, but I really like Shadows of Asterin, which is weird because that is so different from my normal setting. I really like high fantasy most of the time, right? Like I want to be able to be like normal guy and then end up being like some super cool hero, right? Like I like that classic transition, right?
You like the transition, the first quest, find Lady's lost cat,
Yeah,
final quest, kill God.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like pick me 10 flowers,
Yeah,
and then go fight God. Like I love those stories, dude. Like and I think it comes from, and I think this is why role playing in general is because when I was a really little, like when I was a child, right, my role model, so to speak, as cringe as it sounds, were fictional characters, right? Like I was a really big fan of like a lot of anime protagonists, a lot of video game protagonists, like these larger than life heroes, and I live my life trying to emulate that, and like high fantasy role playing games kind of give me the opportunity to do that. I try not to do it too hard on the podcast because I don't want to like play some hero with a big sword every time, right? Because I feel like that would probably get boring. But I do like being that guy. So I really like high fantasy for that reason. I also really like, but I like Shadows of Astarion because it's like grittier, and I almost want to do it again one day because I really don't feel like I did it justice. But it's like really easy to die, and so like everything's more tense, right? Because you heal really slowly. Anybody at any point has the potential to like seriously injure you or kill you because it's very like realistic. Like it's a very low fantasy setting, right? And that's cool because it gives like a different kind of like. I still want to do good things, but I have to be a lot more careful in how I do it. I can't just kick the door down to spite my friends from forever ago, right? But so I don't know. I like some weird mix between like high fantasy and low fantasy. It really just depends on what I'm in the mood for. But I do think Pathfinder does a really good job of balancing and letting you still be the hero.
And my friend Gary was talking to me about this not too long ago. There's just so much content for Pathfinder.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like I remember when Damien was getting me into it first, he was like, "Yeah, just go to this website. I think it's PFSRD 20 or something." And then you could read for like days, bro. Like there's so many classes and subclasses and like other like the deities, and there's just so much to read up on. Like there's so much content, and it's
and you can't go on Kickstarter these days like for the last, I'm gonna say, at least a couple of years without finding something just for Pathfinder, like a class or a setting or a thematic whatever, just for just for Pathfinder itself. And especially after Wizards shot themselves in the foot again.
They doomed.
God, like I'll be honest with you, I haven't talked to much of anybody. Like I talked to Gary and he's playing D&D kind of sort of, but besides him and all the other role players I talk to on a regular basis, I don't hear much of anyone wanting to play D&D much anymore just because of that.
Yeah, it's great for other like systems, right? Like I love it for that. But it's so crazy to be like that much of a giant in the TTRPG space and like, for lack of a better term, just fumble it that hard. Like you would think you want to keep your player base happy, right?
Yeah, but like we're having that same issue happen again with Unity in the video game world as well. And it's just like, God, like, do people not watch the news? Do people not keep up with like business trends and stuff like that?
Or just like, do you not like? I don't get how people don't see like that. There are always other options, right? And like, there comes a point, right, where people like. I think D&D 5e. A lot of people. It was easy, right? A lot of people played it. It was comfortable, so it was easy to keep playing it, right? So if I was a DM and I wanted to bring people into TTRPGs for the first time forever, I'm probably just going to pick up 5e because it's a relatively easy system to get into and everyone's heard of it, right? But then when you shoot yourself in the foot like that, it's like, well, now I'll pick anything else at this point, right? And it's crazy because I don't know, man. Like sometimes I feel like companies and like, hopefully no big company sends assassins after me for saying this, but sometimes I feel like companies get so comfortable in thinking that like, oh, like, well, we can do whatever. Like we're so big, and like, dude, the masses will switch up so quick. It's crazy. Like they'll just stop using your product. They'll just stop playing your games. Like,
ladies and gentlemen, we got them. We're sending the foot ninjas right now. That's what this all is about. we got them.
They're sending the boys after me, bro. But,
we can't have such controversial opinions out there. Oh man, but no, I get it. Like I think that. Okay, so I was again in like not an episode not too long ago. I was talking to Gary about this, where I feel like D&D has gotten to the point where it's just it's not. I don't even want to use it as an introduction into tabletops anymore, because it's just like, well, sure, it is easy in 5.e and stuff like that, and that would be a great introduction. There are so many other systems out there that you can get for much cheaper and that are much easier to understand and learn for the concept of role playing. And then like D&D has all the mechanics and stuff like that that you have to learn. If you just want to get someone into like tabletop role playing in general, oh man, there are so many. Not Fandango, that's an app. Fiasco.
like for the movies.
Fiasco. God, I can't remember that. Fiasco is one of them. Kids on Bikes for the younger generation. Like there are so many different tabletops out there that are just perfect for getting people into the idea of role playing, at least on a tabletop aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also like not starting with D&D because it introduces the idea, because I feel like if you start playing D&D 5e, it's very easy to stay stuck only playing D&D 5e, right? But like if you play like so many other games, or like you go to your like local game store and there's just like shelves of TTRPGs that don't even get looked at.
Yeah.
And so like I really like that's one of the reasons I'm really glad we do this, like the Roleplay Rejects do this podcast, is because it's like I've been introduced to so many really fun systems, some of them more technical than others, some of them more like go with the flow than others, and they've all been really, really fun. Which helps reinforce the fact that at the end of the day, like if you have a group of friends that you enjoy role playing with, you're probably going to have a good time regardless of what system you're using. Obviously, you have some you like more than others, but like.
Oh, and there are so many do you know what one page tabletops are, right? Like I think you guys have played a couple of them. Wasn't Lady Blackbird one of them?
I think so.
Yeah, like you can easily just go out and find one for literally no money at all. And if you want to support the creators, you can go to their coffee account or wherever and pay them like $3 or $4 or $5 and like send them a nice, delightful message. Always, support the people who make things that you love, and just get your friends together and be like, okay, we're gonna do this. There's one that I desperately want to play with my friends called Spaceships and Lasers, or what was it? It's oh man, I can't think of it. Hold on. Spaceships and laser beams. Hold on. No, that's not it. That's a recipe thing.
A recipe?
Oh yeah, this is all recipes on Pinterest. And there's a YouTube account. It's called Spaceships and Laser Beams. That's not at all what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's not the point. There are a bunch of easy systems to get into, and I just don't think that D&D is that system anymore. You know what I mean?
And I think it's cool because it's now that like playing other games is getting more popular. Like it's like kind of like you were saying, it's easier to see where like D&D. I feel like all the courses of D&D were just kind of accepted because of that name familiarity, and now it's like becoming more and more blatant that like, dude, other games are like just as good, if not better in some ways, right? So it's like there's no need to like be so hard stuck on D&D, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, like what Joseph was telling me about Cerberus and Cottages, or Cottages and Cerberus.
That game is so fun.
Yeah, like I went ahead and backed it on Kickstarter because I was just I looked through it and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
It's crazy. It's genuinely one of the most like. I don't want to like gush about it too. I mean, I kind of do actually. It's
Go ahead.
Good. Like the art in the book, crazy, like really, really good, and it's just really, really. It's really nice. Like you can make any kind of character you want. It's really easy. Like you can like, it's really easy, and at least in my experience, to justify your reason for being with the group. And then it's like it's such a good blend of like, I'm gonna go hunt a spooky monster and I'm gonna chill and make my cottage really cozy. Like it's crazy how those two things mesh really well. And like the fantasy aspect is like, it just lends itself to you being able to do whatever you want, and you still have like the purpose of trying to make your cottage cozier, and that being it just gives you so much freedom to go out and do like whatever you want, right? Whether it's get advice from your like people on your block, or go hunt monsters for like super cool like mixers or whatever. Like It's crazy. That game was so fun. I want to play that game more so bad. Like,
Yeah. As I've gotten older and like I'm more curious about like getting my son into these tabletops and stuff like that, I've been looking at more systems that are a lot Pokemon or Digimon-esque in a
mhm.
way. Like I have one here called Animon Story, which is again like a fusion of Pokemon and Digimon shoved together that I really want to play. I've convinced Damien and Stevie to go on a project with me using Blasting Off Again, which is a Team Rocket inspired uh, tabletop. So I don't know why, but whenever something looks anything esque with little monsters that you can play with, I am just like, oh, I really want to play this for some reason.
But no, it's really fun. I would highly recommend Cottages and Cerberuses. It was, and it's like it. I didn't even expect myself to like it that much because I was like Cottage Core. I was like, oh, cozy little fun little game. We're gonna be making muffins and stuff.
Mhm.
But no, that game was so fun, and it would have been fun even if it was just making muffins. But that game was a really good time. I also really like Nova.
Mhm.
We played a little while ago on the podcast, but it's like this mech, which again, didn't think I was gonna like it that much. I'm not usually in the mechs, but it's really cool if you want to feel really heroic, right? Like the mechs and the pilots and the mechs get really cool powers. It's a system that lends itself to the players not dying, which some people don't like, right? Some people like the constant threat of death. But sometimes I just want to do cool stuff and not die for it, right? So it's
Right.
really cool in that sense.
Oh, by Gila RPGs, Nova,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have some of their stuff actually.
Yeah. Nova was really, really fun.
I have he has made recently, I don't know if this is also Spencer Campbell, but Gila Games has Gila RPGs also made a couple of the games up on my bookshelf. Rune is like this solo tabletop role-playing experience that is based off of Dark Souls.
Ooh.
And it's really fun. I'll say, even though it's solo, it's really fun to just like make a drink with my friend and just like sit down and like have this character and just like sort of like have a discussion with my friend as we're like just talking about Dark Souls and like generally what's going on in front of us and make decisions for the characters that way.
Is it, when you say single player, do you mean one player, one DM, or just one person?
No, actually, just one person. That's it.
Okay.
It is a solo tabletop role playing experience. Believe it or not, solo tabletops have gotten a lot more popular.
They have. I've heard about them. I've been curious.
Yeah, I can absolutely send you a link to it later. You remember Warframe that I was talking about earlier?
Yeah, I've played a little bit of Warframe.
The guy, Spencer Campbell, he was originally going to make a tabletop for Warframe, but for some reason, people just got so upset over this. Not the company itself, just the fan base of Warframe got so upset over this love letter to Warframe that he wound up canceling it, and he made the Lumen system. Same guy again who got the Rune. Who made the Rune tabletop, and actually that's the reason why I even know about Rune, is because I've been following him for quite a long time. I like Warframe. I really fucking like Warframe.
I played it. There was a short period of my life where I played it. I thought it was really cool, and I just stopped playing it. I have no reason as to why.
That's fine.
It just be like that sometimes.
It is a grindy game. Let me tell you what. It is. I
really like the movement. I thought was really cool. Like I felt so nimble all the time.
Oh yeah, it is a power fantasy game. It is one of my favorite games in the world because it was based off of a game called Dark Sector way back when Dark Sector came out on the Xbox 360 years and years and years ago. And the developers who made Dark Sector said, this isn't at all what we want. And so they tried again with Warframe. And I am desperately just waiting for the day that they announce a Warframe tabletop because I need it in my life so bad.
That would be really cool. If that ever drops, I'll definitely check it out as well. Because Warframe is like, I don't play it, but I do recognize it as a really fun game. Like I think it's so cool.
Fun. Oh god, it's so much fun. Anyways, I'm sorry. Let me stop talking about Warframe. We can go back to Final Fantasy if you want.
I did have I want to ask you back the question you asked me earlier about your playing origin stories and like what kind of got you into the hobby.
Oh, I have always had just, a very vivid imagination. I like to play pretend way too much as a child. I
Mhm.
guess that's because of my ADHD rattled mind. I also, let's see, man, it's gotten to the point in my life where I can't even remember the first time I got into role playing for real, for real. In World of Warcraft, my first role play experience was fumbling around quite a lot because again, you have to kind of like know a guy
Mhm.
or like stumble upon it. It was World of Warcraft back during Burning Crusade, which is a long
I
fucking time
remember when
ago.
that dropped. Yeah, that was quite some time.
Oh
When that dropped,
god.
it played very shortly when Burning Crusade dropped.
Oh god, actually. How long ago did Burning Crusade come out? Burning Crusade release date. January 16, 2007.
Jeez,
Oh god, I was 17.
jeez.
I'm 33 now. I'm about to be 34. God, almost 14 years ago. No, I'm withering away. Wesley, I'm being dusted. I'm being Thanos snapped out of existence
Oh
right
man,
now.
you don't look a day over 21, bro.
Oh man, my Jordans are creased. I fucking can't do this no
No,
more.
bro, I had to steal that one. The white Jordans were
Creased.
creased, bro.
Um, I feel like such a pilgrim. God damn. But yeah, so Burning Crusade came out and that was my first role playing experience in like an MMO setting for the most part, and ever since then I've been infatuated with it. Let's see, tabletop. God, I played so many damn tabletops. I'm pretty sure my first tabletop experience was D&D 3.0, or was it 2.0? It was a long ass time ago. It was 2.0. It was 2.0. I remember. And I had just gotten into this random game. I was so young back then, and it was just like this random game, and I was just like, "Oh, what you guys up to? I want to play. What is this? Is this pretend? I want to play pretend."
True, it do be like that.
I don't want to exist in the real world for a little
Yeah,
while.
I want to play pretend.
I
So
want to play
true.
pretend. And but I can't for the life of me. I can't even remember who the GM was, except I know that he was an older guy and kind of weird. And I was like, okay, these seem like my people.
Mhm.
And from there, I kept playing D&D for a little while, and then that led me from those into just the wide world of tabletops in general. But actually, I really didn't get into all the different tabletops until only a couple of years ago. Maybe 5-6 years ago.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of late to the whole tabletop scene, and I've my MMO experience has, for the most part, just been strictly MMO, and I've sprinkled in like the other roleplay realms in there at some point. Like I did do LARPing for a little bit, but I found out I just wanted to hit people with a sword.
Dude, that's really quick. That's why I want to LARP.
Yeah, I just want to hit people with a sword.
I went to this summer camp when I was like, I don't know, like a junior in high school, and it wasn't even like for LARPing, but some of the like camp counselors had foam swords because they LARPed.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I love fighting people with foam swords. That's just so fun.
It is. They just need to make a sport out of it, for real.
They do. It's great. Yeah, dude, it was so fun. I spent like most of one day just fighting like with some of the other kids and one of the camp counselors, and that's what we did. They had great swords. They had twin swords. They had like the normal long sword.
Yes.
Oh, it was so cool.
I have a very fond memory of my brother, and I have 3 sisters and a brother.
Mm-hmm.
I have met my brother maybe 5 times in my life, and I have a very fond memory of being real young with him. And he had to be a LARPer, right? Because he had all these foam swords and stuff in his car. and he let me take them out and play with it, like sword fight him a little bit. And it, to this day, it is one of the fondest memories of just like hitting somebody with a foam sword. I don't have many fond memories of hitting somebody, but it's just one of those memories that I think back to and like, oh god, I would love to get in LARPing. And every single time I think about it, I just think about my brother, who is, I don't know where he is at all. If you're listening to this, Eric, god damn it, get in contact with me. But besides that, yeah, my experience for role playing has mostly just been MMO, because it's such an easy, it's so easy to access now. Almost scary, almost terrifyingly so. Because I know there are some people out there with less than noble intentions.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, and there are people out there. Yeah, there are definitely people out there who are just getting into it, who have no idea what the other people are up to. But besides that, yeah, that is my roleplay. My roleplay origins. Actually, my roleplay origins is I came out of a dark alleyway one day when this kid and his two parents were walking down an alleyway, and I pulled out a table and I threw some dice down as I said, "Roll for initiative," and unfortunately, the parents slipped and fell on the dice, and I had to run away.
Yeah, I don't know why I find that so funny, but I do. I also wanted to ask. I guess kind of a two-part question. I know you're interviewing me, but I like these questions and I can answer them too. If going by like the 6 D&D stats, and I can relist them if you don't have them off the top of your head. What do you think your highest stat would be? And if you had to pick a D&D class that you feel like if you were a D&D character, you would be this class, what do you think that class would be?
Oh God, definitely my highest stat. Well, it has to be. Oh God. Okay, so this is really difficult because I look at myself and I'm like, I'm a fucking rock. I'm a smooth-brained rock, pet rock. That is my class. But if I have to say, if I have to be humble or humble brag, is that what the kids say these days? If I have to be humble, whatever.
If I have to humble brag, yeah.
If I have to humble brag, I think my highest stat would probably be wisdom.
Okay.
And that sucks because my class, if I picked a class that I had to be in D&D, would be probably a rogue.
Why rogue?
Because I spend a lot of my time just plotting and planning, not in a negative way, but like I play a lot of. I tend to be very political about how I approach my schemes, as it were, my heists, quote unquote. I'm not out there robbing people. Don't worry, everybody.
For legal reasons, he's not out there robbing people.
I'm not out there pickpocketing or whatever. But I have been a person who has always tended to be a jack of all trades. So maybe instead of thief, bard, but I don't know how to play an instrument. That's it. I can play the harmonica. I lied.
You can inspire people. You got a podcast, bro. Your speech inspires me. You know, you can just be a really, really smooth talker.
Oh, I appreciate it. Okay, same question back to you.
I think it's hard. It's hard for me too, and I'm not gonna brag humbly. I think I'm charismatic as hell. But I'm also
charismatic. You are very charismatic.
Thank you. But I'm also really strong, right? Like, okay, maybe not really strong, but definitely quite stronger than average, right? So it's hard, but it's definitely between those two stats. I think I really want to be able to bench 315 pounds, and I'm not there yet. So I'm gonna say charisma.
I've actually been going to the gym to get some to exercise a lot more because I've been trying to take better care of my health, and I've been slowly learning how to like lift weights properly, and I'm hoping to like increase that as time goes by. That's my current plan. I don't miss leg day, but at the same time I'm like, but I could go over there and lift that bar.
Dude, it's so fun. I don't know why. Something about the bench press.
I don't know.
It's my little brain, my lizard brain activates.
I know, it's so weird.
Heavy weight go up and it
back down.
But I'm glad, dude. I always encourage people to work out. I think it's super fun. It gives me dopamine, and I hope it does the same for everyone else.
Oh, it does. Like not to be God, what is that? I don't want to be someone who sounds like they're a dependent or whatever. I love the runner's high. I like when I run and I get that, like I get off the treadmill and then I get that euphoric feeling of, oh God, there's so much oxygen in my brain. I'm going to go work out some more. It's time to start pressing. It's time to start lifting.
Yeah.
And then
I can relate. In the past, I used to run a decent amount. Now I don't run at all.
I have to get back into it.
I literally woke up this morning. I was like, I should start running before my workouts. But
actually, believe it or not, before you and I got on the podcast, I came home from the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, went to the gym, got my son. Oh yeah. Gym days every day, even 12 hours, even before the 12-hour shifts at work. Every day is gym day.
I respect that a lot.
Thank you. It sucks a lot. But I go because I want to take care of myself so I can live a long and happy life with my child.
True. Based. I got distracted talking about the gym. Probably my eyes sat, followed closely by strength. And then I think I would be either a bard. I'd probably be a bard, but I'd be like a College of Swords bard. I think I really like hitting things, right? Like bring back LARPing, but
God, yeah.
So like, I know there is like a swords college bard that inspires people with his like swordplay. I'd probably be that flavor of bard.
Okay, I wouldn't be the bard who sings. I'd be the bard who makes quippy jokes. Do you know what I mean? Like that's their thing. Like they pull out the lute to start singing, but they're like, so I went to the gym the other day. Like that's how I distract people.
Hey, it would work on me. I love funny jokes.
I could be the wingman. That's it.
Oh, same. Also, I always hesitate to say I'd be a bard because there's so much bard slander.
I know. That's the only downside. It's like I don't want to. I'm not out here trying to be a deviant. I swear to fucking God, I just like talking with people and like just having conversations.
Bring back the true meaning of bard,
bro.
I like. Oh man, I get so sad because because growing up it was my favorite class, right? Because I was like, oh, jack of all trades, very charismatic, like the face of the party, right? Which is really weird because I wasn't super social, like young. Well, that's not true. Like I was social in the right situations, but and now it's just like everyone's like, oh, you're playing a bard, you're gonna roll to seduce everything, and I'm like, no, I'm not, bro, I'm not.
I don't want to seduce the dragon. I don't want to seduce the guard. Just let me help you.
He's a liar, man.
I just want to grab someone and just be like, let me help you. That's all I want to do.
I just want to inspire you to do great things. Take this D4, bro. Take it and go do great things. Oh man, RIP to all the bards out there.
If you too identify as a fellow bard, we understand your pain. Please join us for a moment of solidarity.
Dude, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll make a bardic college of my own.
There needs to be a tabletop that is specifically because speaking of deity, one of my favorite campaigns I ever ran. Or didn't run, but I was ever a part of was it was a bards only group, right? And all the bards did something different. And my bard was because back in the day I used to be and I still do dress this way, but I used to be a punk. I have a very punk aesthetic. And so when I was younger, I wanted to get into like screamo and stuff like that. I know. Listen, I get it. Those are old dead dreams now. All right. But so I used to have this bard in what he would do. And I forgot. I know that I didn't make this up myself. I know that I got this from somewhere, but he would scream like he would take the head of a mace, like a flail.
That's sick.
And he would hold it in his hands and he would wrap the chain around his arm and he would scream into it and cause like bleeding damage and stuff like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and so like all the bards were different. Like I think we had like a K-pop bard, we had like a country bard,
That's cool. I love one class groups. I'm gonna say it. I think it's so cool and funny, and I think it's cool to see four-ish people play the same class totally differently. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Well, we are. What, man? I don't want to end this, but I gotta have to. We've gone over the hour mark, and the hour mark is a hard limit for me.
Okay.
I definitely want you back on though. If at any point,
this is so. I mean, you can just hit me up to talk. Like, this has been really fun.
yes, please, God, I would love. Wesley, can we be friends? Wesley, yes, I really want to be your friend.
Let's be friends. This has been pleasant. I'm so glad. I'm always worried that I'm going to talk too much.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way because it's really. No, I don't want to get into this. Everyone already heard this. Thank you, Wesley, so much.
It's been great.
Yeah, man, I really do appreciate you coming on last minute, and I just. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I got everything together. I know that you wanted to come on the podcast, and I know that it took me way too long to get a hold of you.
No, you're fine. I'm really glad that all the jokes about, like, oh, man, I hope I get on there at some point. Like, I'm glad it didn't scare you away because I was worried. I was like, I wouldn't sound really pushy.
No, man. I've been like everyone who I reach out to, like a lot of the role players I've reached out to who have heard the podcast, and I'm like, hey, you want to come on the thing? They're like, oh God, yes, please. I just didn't want to be pushy. No, please, for the love of God, tell me, and I will let you come on. I will set everything up, and you can come on. And you can talk with me.
Cool. Well, yeah. If there's ever another topic you want to chat about, and you want to have me on again, not that has to be anytime soon, but I will always make the effort. Like, if you ever ask me to be on to talk about literally anything, I will always try my best to make it.
This is the start of something beautiful.
It is.
This is the start of something great. All right.
Starting today.
The last thing I like to ask people before we hang up the call is, do you have any advice for role players of any kind out there?
Yeah, I think if I could give any advice to any role player, I guess this is mostly helpful for new role players, but I think it's applicable in any group. Is, I know everyone talks about episode like 0 and what to talk about, but I think something that gets kind of glazed over, in my opinion, is making sure you all have, like, the group has an aligned energy, right? That they, like, you don't have to talk about exactly what your character is if you want to keep that kind of a secret, but making sure, like knowing what the vibe of the group is to make sure your character fits in, I think it's really important, because it's really hard if, for example, you want to get big numbers, right? You want to hit as hard as you can, but the rest of the group wants a mostly roleplay focused campaign. You're not going to have a lot of fun if there's not a lot of combat, right? So just understanding what the group wants and understanding a way that you can all, like, get what you want collectively, I think is really, really important.
That's good advice. That's very good advice. Thank you so much, Wesley.
Thank you. I'm glad. And thank you again for having me. This has truly, truly been a great time.